Though he knew he had no right, the shape of her in that dress was making Richard sweat. Whoa.
Wow. Hello and welcome back, dear listeners, to Seeker and Confessor, a Sword of Truth podcast. I'm your host, Frank.
And I'm Lauren.
And today we're covering Chapter 39 of Wizard's First Rule by Terry Goodkind.
Before we just get into the chapter, do we have anything to say?
About the chapter or just pending?
No, just anything pending. Any thoughts, like something left over from last time?
No, not really.
I don't really either.
I'm feeling pretty caught up.
Okay. So how did we feel about Chapter 39? What was your overview thought?
If I had to sum it up, it would be...
Oh, yeah.
Good job, Terry.
We liked Chapter 39.
I loved it.
Okay. I'll say it's probably his best.
It's top chapter so far.
Do I still have some issues with it? Yeah, we'll talk about them. But this is by far the best chapter he's written so far. And if anything, like, it makes me simultaneously happy and angry because I'm confused now.
Yes.
Why we've been holding out when he can write things like this.
I don't know, but since Brophy hit the scene, everything's been coming up roses. And the fact that we're rolling right into the Mord soon, Terry hit his stride.
Right.
38 chapters in. We're rolling here.
Which, like, just go back and cut /
This is
revise.
called editing. Go back and fix it. But no.
Yeah, so this chapter
it's okay.
Felt incredibly lived in.
Yep.
It had even, like, the Terry-isms here and there that I don't like the Queen Milena being, like, cartoonishly bad and, like, one note. It was, it was just, like, in the background, right? It was just, like, flavor.
Yes.
There was a lot more flavor text here.
Yeah, a lot of world building, just, like, he's just dropping names, dropping positions and titles. Like, where's this been? I know we've been in the woods, but, like...
Yeah, I know, but, like, maybe we could have bounced around more, so it wasn't so much...
We could have bounced around more. Kahlan could have given any of these updates while we were approaching, like...
For sure.
There could have been, like, normal human conversations going on in the woods instead of diatribes.
Yeah, 100%. And, like, you know what? I remember I said in the first episode when we were trying to, figure out what we remembered, I was like, I really feel like they're just in the woods a lot. And I wasn't wrong.
No, no.
I now see why I remember that.
What's the percentage? 90% in the woods?
It's hard because Terry is good at writing nature, so, like, I understand wanting to, like, lean into your passion and your strength by placing them there often.
Yeah.
But it does start to make the world feel empty.
Yeah.
This made it feel like a real place.
It's so weird. Like, you think about, like, Lord of the Rings, and even from the get-go, when Frodo and co are leaving the Shire, like, they're being pursued, right? Mm-hmm. And that gives like, you get time in nature, but it gives this, like, alacrity to the plot. People should be pursuing them.
You'd think.
And it should be, like, this constant pressure of, like, let's be quiet. We can talk a little at the campfire, but, like, we gotta... And then Richard's really good at going through the woods, so, like, that could be, you know...
I was impressed. I thought that this, to me, read like a book.
Yeah.
Like, for the first time, I was like, this feels like something normal I would read.
Yeah, we're finally here.
Not a great book, but a good enough book.
A fantasy story.
Yeah.
It's working, you know?
Like I said, if he's capable of the things he does in this chapter that he's never done before,
yeah,
I just don't understand why he was holding out.
I got no clue. I have no idea. But here we are. And finally, it's feeling nice.
Yeah, so I guess we could compare this. Our most fun chapter was the Spirit House chapter because we liked Richard and Kahlan's sexy dynamic.
Absolutely.
That was written pretty well. It was exciting. That was the closest I think we've gotten to this feeling, right?
Yeah.
Maybe, like, in future books, like, maybe this will keep...
I think it kind of does.
Building and increasing. Because, like, I could see how it starts getting very fun if a lot of it feels more this way.
Yeah.
Right? Which is good news for us if we're continuing. So, we left off with Zed, Richard, Kahlan, campfire, at night, planning... to go into Tamarang. Richard comes up with the amazing plan they're about to utilize.
Of being themselves, for the most part.
I mean,
yeah, and lying a little.
A little lying, a little truth. It's the best combo.
Wow.
And then we also, we were introduced to Mr. Brophy, who seemingly, I don't know, he's around. He's not with them for this, but he is going to be around for the rest of the book, I guess.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I guess he's around.
He's in the woods.
He doesn't come in.
He's not coming
I didn't even
them.
think about it. This chapter, I was like, where'd Brophy go? Did they have a moment of being like, don't come in? No.
He's just not, he's a
wolf. He's
just hanging out in the woods.
He can't come in. He's a wolf.
But it would be kind of cool if he did.
Yeah, right?
I mean, why not? But, like, they're trying to bamboozle her. Might as well bring the talking wolf.
Absolutely. This is my...
It would have been too much.
Defender wolf.
Yeah. So, okay. So we start off, we're on the outskirts of Tamarang.
Mm-hmm.
We're not in the city yet, but refugees that are all going to Tamarang, who have been, their villages have been plundered by Westlanders.
Of course, and they're
are trying to
for
go...
death and revenge.
Yes, they're trying to go to Tamarang, and so, like, you know, tents and little vendors and, like, a whole little impromptu city has been set up on the outskirts of the city.
Yep.
And I think he described it pretty well.
Yeah.
Nothing amazing. But
No.
you were like, I got a general sense of, like, what was going down here.
I got a really good quote, though. A really good line that I have to do. There were barbers and healers and fortune tellers.
Yeah.
People who had paper and wanted to draw your face. And people who had leeches and wanted to draw your blood.
Oh, shit. That's deep.
It's
Bro,
not deep.
I know it's not
but
deep. It's just
does
him
it
being...
mean something?
No, he's just being cute.
Is that it?
He's just like, draw.
They wanted to draw your face. And they wanted to draw your blood.
Draw.
Draw.
That's it. He
Alright.
Yeah, he likes that sort of thing. He likes doubles and triples. I thought it was interesting that they mentioned that there's the fortune tellers here. They mentioned that Queen Milena has an astrologer on staff. And then we also have Zed as the cloud reader, which is like this, everybody's like, oh, okay, sure. So, like, these people really are quite superstitious / believe in a certain type of, like, magic.
Yes.
They're all pretty, which is kind of interesting to me.
Yeah.
Given that magic exists. I feel like those are things in our world because we, like, need something to look to be like, oh, those are the magical people. But then I'm like, okay, but now magic's become quite, like, nebulous, and you're kind of like, who has it, who doesn't?
True.
So those things might pop up anyway, because people who want access to the magic that exists, they can't speak to wizards and confessors.
True.
So these, like, little middlemen show up who are like, I could do it.
And they probably have some form of magic.
That's what I want to know. Which among them is
I think it depends
real.
Exactly on how Terry's feeling at a specific time. I could see him going on a rant and, like, Richard being like, the astrologer can't predict anything.
Yes.
But I could also see him being like, I can predict a lot of weird things because another person's an astrologer later on, you know?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I thought it was intriguing. It did give it gave, I don't know, the world, the Midlands, this vibe now where I'm like, oh, okay, we're doing, like, little magical things all over the place.
Yeah. Which,
real or not.
Which it needs. It desperately needs. Fill it out, please.
So the refugees are all in, like, good spirits because they, like, believe that good fortune is coming their way now that they're in Tamarang. They're all talking about Father Rahl and how amazing he is and all the good things he's going to do for them. And they're all calling for vengeance against the Westlanders.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, character growth or just Terry not wanting to do it?
I thought
Richard doesn't like really
bite his tongue.
He doesn't seem to care that much that he's like, oh, whatever. Which good for me as a reader, but I wasn't sure, given how annoying he's been about it. I was like, so is he, like, maturing in this moment? I think maybe
he's on a mission, so, like, that's not
he's not so annoying this chapter in a lot of the ways he has been.
I agree.
Which, again, is it the elevated writing that we're finding in this chapter? Or is it that going on this mission and having this, like, serious thing, once he's, like, doing it and not just, like, thinking about it, is it, like, Richard actually, like, is a lot less annoying and gets shit done?
Zed said that about the
exactly.
Arrow. Yeah.
Right? So I thought maybe that's part of it.
When Richard's on task and not thinking, he actually does better.
Which is interesting because I think, like, I'm like, I don't know that Terry necessarily sat down and thought that, right? Like, I don't think he sat there and said, I'm going to make Richard annoying here and then make him less annoying over here because of XYZ. But intuitively, when you're, like, writing a character, you do kind of get a sense of, like, I just think he'd say this annoying thing in this scenario.
When he has time.
And when I'm writing him in this scenario, I just feel he wouldn't think those things, which is kind of the same thing at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah, did he plan it, or did he just kind of, like, vibe with it?
You just vibe with it. It's like when you're role-playing in D&D. You're like, I don't know why I felt like my character did this here and not here, but I just felt it in the moment.
It's always surprising. I noticed a Terry writing motif that I kind of like, and it kind of slaps.
Okay.
He does, like, a really long paragraph of description, and then he'll hit you with a single line paragraph.
You're right. It is kind of nice.
It's just like, all the vendors and the fortune teller and all this stuff, and then he just goes, Richard didn't see a single woman with hair past her jawline.
Yeah, no, it is effective, actually.
And that's the entire paragraph, and it's like, damn, all right. It carries the weight of, like, they're both like, this is an important moment back into the story.
Has he been doing that?
All the time. He does it a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, why did it... I just didn't like it, I guess, a lot of the previous times.
That's usually... Because that sentence is usually like... Because it's disconnected. The women not having hair past the jawline doesn't relate to the above paragraph, but that's why it's so stark. So when it hits, it really hits. But when it's like... Okay.
Yeah.
It's really like, please don't do that.
Well, yeah, so when it's good, I think that is effective. It works. Yeah, they're moving through, trying to get to Tamarang, to the city, and Kahlan is decked out, full Mother Confessor mode, attitude, face, she's giving,
yeah.
She's mothering, and she's got the whole outfit on, and Richard's describing the way that people move out of her way, and they bow, and they're incredibly reverent, and kind of afraid of her. And
more afraid of her than the guards.
Yeah, of course. I guess I was gonna say, of course. I guess it's just the mythology built up around her. So, but I'm saying, realistically, if you like consider the power, I'm like, the guards could kill way more people than Kahlan can.
Yeah, but she will yeet you specifically. So I guess that's always she's like a bomb.
She was walking as if she owned the whole city. She kept her eyes straight ahead and acknowledged no one. I think he did again, just like I liked the way he described the way her power felt in Brophy. Mm-hmm. I think he did a good job describing the way she behaves as the Mother Confessor, how it comes across. It's very cool, and you're like, I understand how she's sort of embodying this, and I also understand why the people are reacting this way to her. I still find, like, the two sides of Kahlan... I need some sort of bridge. I just need bridge moments. Yeah. That's all. I could see it going together. I don't feel like there's ever been enough of a complex bridge to get me there.
Not yet. No.
But this version of Kahlan is not like totally unbelievable. I just think the impact having this level of control over yourself, this experience, all of these things would just like impact
the internal person.
It would impact her internal personality a bit more than I think I'm supposed to think it has. But I do like when we're like playing. I like when we're playing with it, and I believe it's possible he'll get better at kind of like merging them. So she approaches the city gates. The guards at the gates are very nervous. They don't know what to do. I liked the description. Kahlan just walks up and stares at the gates as if she expects them to evaporate out of her way, which I think is cool.
Yeah.
I like her haughty behavior. So then I loved, like, we're going to get into it. Zed is back on my...
Oh, yeah. Zed crushed it.
Zed's role play is out of control, which I guess is because Zed, is the only person in the world who, like, knows about lies and stuff, so he's expert at it.
Yep.
But he's so good at this role. He kills
immediately,
it.
Like...
So Zed steps up. He bows to Kahlan to apologize for stepping ahead of her. I really like all the intricacies of like the ritual around the Mother Confessor that we get in here. I'm not sure exactly what we're saying about ritual. I feel like we simultaneously like hate ritual and love ritual at the same time. I'm not sure.
Why do you say that? Why do you think we hate it?
Oh, because Kahlan because it's weird. Like, we're always being like, I hate this role. it's so bad that I am in charge like this, that people should even pay deference to me. Even right before we set this up, and the way that we treat it is very like Zed and Richard. They're not being like, we're in fact respectful of this ritual. Of course we should do it this way. It's like, this is fucking dumb, but like, okay, I'll pretend to do the ritual, even though we all agree. Like, I don't know. But then at the same time, you get a sense that like, Richard does come away from this very, like, impressed with Kahlan.
Yes, I
and
agree.
there's something powerful about it.
Does Zed have that feeling about it? I didn't really get that so much. Like, Richard definitely did, but he doesn't know any
Yeah,
better.
but Zed clearly... It's not like Zed was like, hey, these rituals are really important. Like, they just have this attitude of, like, behind the scenes, that ain't us. Over there, we pretend. I don't know. That feels...
But that could be because it does have importance, but you don't have to live in it all the time, you know? Zed strikes me as like a stoner, nonchalant wizard king, where he's just kind of like, yeah, do whatever you want, but like he understands the purpose of...
Yes, but there's a difference between
face.
Like, there's a practicality to this versus I think the ritual has like beauty and meaning. I don't know if I get the sense Zed... Obviously, Richard's not going to think that.
Okay, so I don't think Richard understands it at all
of
or
course
likes
not,
it.
but he's not...
I think that Zed maybe doesn't see the purpose in terms of its beauty and all that, but kind of understands the functional piece of it.
Sure.
And Kahlan kind of hates the fact that she's forced into the role. But, yeah, this chapter really just shows how effective it is at doing what it needs to do.
Right. If anything, you're like,
So it's very valuable.
It very much so works.
Yeah. Yeah, you can understand both sides. And Richard, I think, does reflect a lot how lonely Kahlan looks during this.
Yeah, and that makes sense. Like, for sure, you go through this, you would think, no matter who, even if the person in Kahlan's role was like, I love being the Mother Confessor, you'd still be like, oh, you still must be a little lonely doing that, right? So, like, no matter what, I think that's a conclusion you'd probably come to. But then you add on top of it, Kahlan seems to have, like, so much disdain for it. And I would be interested to hear Kahlan speak about any positives she feels about it.
Sure.
Right? Because, like, have we ever gotten that?
No, I do think that is part of her arc, though.
Right,
I think
and
maybe in the second book a lot. Like,
I'm intrigued by that part of her.
Yeah, and this is... I guess this also comes up, but Richard being proud he didn't cut her hair.
Yes,
because there is
that
this
was what made me
yeah.
think of it, where I was like, damn, you kind of like it, though.
Yeah.
Which also, he did kind of come through with the thing I complained about last episode, which was that I said, like, I don't get why... Like, Richard was just presenting it as, like, I hate this. I don't want to do this. I don't want to blah, blah, blah. And I was like, there'd be some part of you that would be intrigued, attracted... curious about this, and in this chapter that comes through.
He's
like
definitely
pretty big
attracted.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But that attraction was sort of just like hot bod. It wasn't like oh wow, the Mother Confessor. He does that too, though.
Yeah. Maybe a little though.
His most overt horny moment was just like, dang, that dress. You know?
She cuts a mean silhouette. Yeah.
So anyway. The guards are nervous. Zed steps up. He bows to Kahlan to apologize for going in front of her. He tells the guards to open the gates. They say they have orders not to. Zed is like, did they specifically tell you don't open the gates for the Mother Confessor? And they're like, well,
no.
And so then Zed says, open the gates right now and get a proper escort here this instant. I like, this was very, like, this is so Terry dialogue where, like, that, like, do this, no, I can't, did they tell you, blah, like, whatever, I don't know, pedantic back and forth, but this was one of the first times I was like, this one actually worked.
It works.
It was cute,
this
and I
definitely
liked
works.
it.
Yeah. You got advantage on the charisma.
You were like, that's
the
a good
persuasion roll for sure on that one.
Yeah, you were like, that's a good argument.
Absolutely.
The guard listens, he yells some orders.
Interesting parallel. They had to trick their way in. And Rachel tricked her way out.
Oh, with the guards?
With the box, yeah.
That's true.
So it was the same layer of guard, too. And
it was, I guess but the Daharan guards were involved.
One Daharan guard.
Okay, yeah. One Dara guard was there.
You definitely
for Rachel.
don't remember the names of the other guards, right? Because I don't.
Oh my god, it was like Lancer or something.
Lancer was one of them Silas, or was one of them?
I don't remember.
Because like, there's the two in this chapter that are her like guard advisors, and I was like, is it one of them?
Why would it be?
I don't know. Just because names are so few and far between here.
The guards gather up some horses and some more guards, and they all do like a little parade. And whatever, they gather them up, and Zed hits them with, "You call this a proper escort? Well, it'll have to do. My apologies, Mother Confessor, for this man's insolence and his feeble effort at an escort." I love the roast. I love it.
Absolutely
it's
shredded this man.
Hilarious. Yeah, I think it comes across like you're like, yeah, this is what I suppose like douchey, self-important people in power would like.
Yeah. 100%. Well, and he's playing up the role. This is more than a queen. What are you doing?
She's like a religious
Wake
icon.
up. Yeah, the Pope's here. No one said don't let anyone in. Were they talking about the Pope, you idiot?
Yeah.
No, let us in and come on, do your thing.
Fanfare. Let's go.
Let's get the horns.
Yeah, I guess I'm just always torn where I'm like, it's hard. As a person, aren't you like, you're reading it and you're like, I'm kind of like loving this in a way. Like, I love it.
Explain. What
I don't
part
know how
of
to
it?
explain it. Like, when you read it, are you like, this is fun?
Oh, it's fun as hell. Yeah.
I like them demanding all of this from the Mother Confessor.
Yeah, for sure.
But then it's interesting because you're like, ooh, I feel this draw towards it. I like it. Mm-hmm. But then I'm also like, are you supposed to like it? Or are you supposed to come away feeling like, oh, how...
Like, what does Terry want me to feel?
Yeah, I'm curious. Like, what do you think? Am I supposed to go like, ooh, this is cool? Or am I supposed to say like, ooh...
I think you're supposed to think it's cool, A, because it's the protagonist. And Terry wrote it in a cool way. If he didn't want you to want this, he would do some dark and raw stuff where he'd be cutting out tongues in the middle of it. You know what I mean?
Well, no, they're not going to do that.
Yeah, because they're the heroes.
Right.
Yeah.
How could he have written
Dark
this?
and Raw would boss people around the same way and then, like, torture them. And you'd be like, see, there's a good way and a bad way to do it. Not torturing people is the good way. I don't know.
But how could he have written it in a way to make us, like, dislike this while also keeping the integrity of the characters? Like, it feels weird, because I'm like, okay, if Zed came here to this kingdom and was being rude like this to... I don't know, guards at a kingdom where we were like, that's a nice queen, we would be kind of like, oh, how... When she's in Mother Confessor mode, they're all being assholes. We are allowed to feel like they're being exclusively good and cool, because we know Queen Milena
this is a bad
is
kingdom,
bad.
and all the guards are bad, too, because they follow bad queen. And they are good heroes.
You know what I'm saying? I don't know.
There's so much nuance that could be like a Game of Thrones type thing. Where you're like, no, that guard is a person. They have their own relations and all this other stuff.
He kind of did. Like, when Rachel was talking to those guards, we were sort of given humanity, I think. Right? They weren't cartoonish bad guys. The one guy
were.
Right, yes. But the one guy, Queen Milena's guards, he was like being like, oh, let her have the bread. Look at that skinny little child. Like, they were kind of nice.
Yeah.
So, I know there doesn't have to be a take, right? Like, there's so many books where there's no take. You're just seeing the things happening.
And just feel how you feel.
And you just feel things.
Yeah.
I don't know why, something about the way Terry writes, it feels like he is constantly asking me to come to conclusions. I do feel like he has an opinion.
Yeah, he definitely does.
I feel like it is not... It's always like not being left open like that. So then my brain just gets in the habit of being like, what does he want?
It's cool to dunk on losers who work for Bad Queen, especially when the world's at stake. But it might not be good in other circumstances.
Yeah, I guess that's what we're saying.
Yeah. He's just saying, this is a bad queen, so her servants are all kind of on the side of bad.
Yeah.
So dunking on them is sweet and good.
That's what I kind of feel like.
So
then, we go from Zed being like, apologies, Mother Confessor, these stupid men aren't up to your standards. And then we just switched to Richard going, though he knew he had no right, the shape of her in that dress was making Richard sweat. Whoa.
Wow.
It was a little out of nowhere. Like, when I read it, I was like,
it was
whoa.
jarring as hell.
Okay, whoa.
All those one lines were about Kahlan, how prominent she is, actually, yeah.
Yeah, that one, though, was the most egregiously horny.
Making him sweat.
Yeah, so I guess the dress is, like, decently form-fitting. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, if the dress is doing that to him, what's the Mordsith leathers? What are they going to do?
That's skin tight, too, but...
I don't think the dress is skin tight. She's not in, like, a bodycon dress.
Yes, she is. That's how I read it. And her boobs got bigger.
Well, the corsetting could...
That's what I'm saying.
Push them up.
A little boost TA.
Yeah, so Richard, I do think there's no coincidence here that her in this role, though, is where he's all of a
100%.
sudden going like...
100%.
Oh
Richard's
my God.
learning the half-wizard's rule.
He is learning.
That femdom is real. He's learning it right now.
He didn't know.
He didn't know.
He so didn't know.
No. She's a little berry-picking servant of mine. She's not...
Is she?
Oh. More than a queen.
Right, is she?
That dress.
So they go into the city. They walk past more vendors and shops and inns, and Richard comments on how everything's a lot more well organized and a lot calmer and cleaner in the city versus on the outskirts.
Yep.
And everybody's dressed very nicely. They're all wearing like gowns.
Yeah, just Bridgerton status.
Yeah, oh, interesting. And they also bow to Kahlan as she goes by, but Richard notices they're not so quick to bow. They're kind of like lazy about it, and they all kind of have contempt in their face. Like they're all kind of like, okay, yeah, whatever. So that's interesting. So then, okay, these are like these power control ritual questions I have. Like that made me think, I'm like, okay, so they're kind of like not loving the Mother Confessor's power and role and status in this world. And I'm like, does Kahlan agree with them? Or is she like it specifically says that she in no way shows any like reaction facially to
Doesn't
this.
even notice these people.
Yeah, like she's still ignoring them, whatever. But like, if you take like baby Kahlan when she's in the woods, is she like, no, actually I kind of understand why these people aren't fucking with the Confessor rituals?
I don't think so.
No, right.
I think Kahlan's both. She doesn't want it, but she's also like, you should respect it.
It's kind of like the bad parts, like it's like doubled negative.
Yeah.
Where you're like, okay, all the good parts of, like, you don't seem to want any of it. But then when it comes down to, like, actually criticizing it, you're like, oh, but still I should get the good parts. Maybe. Don't be mean to me.
It's an immature way to think, too. That's interesting.
Yeah, I'm intrigued to see if that, like, develops in some way. Yeah, I'm just curious. I'm like, would Kahlan be like, fuck you guys, you should be respecting me, I am the Mother Confessor? Or is she like, honestly, this shit is, like, goofy. I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Right? Because some part of you feels the way it's painted, the closer we get to Tamarang, the more Queen Milena-esque, I suppose, everyone is. And then, like, Princess Violet isn't properly deferential, which is bad. Yeah. And then these people are closer to Queen Milena, and they're less deferential. It seems like increasingly, like, the better you are, the more deferential you are, and the worse you are, the least you are. But that's kind of weird because Kahlan seems to be very critical of the role she has.
The deferentiality of the role, yeah.
Right? Like, she's like, I understand why everybody's scared of me. I understand why they don't like us. We go steal their husbands and sons and brainwash, fuck them, and we kill babies with rods on their throats.
Unfortunately,
and
yes.
We've done a lot of good, bad things.
That's true.
And I kind of hate that people have to treat me this way. But then I also feel like we're painting people...
treating her that way as bad.
Treating her, like, who are questioning it, are they're bad.
It almost feels like Terry's not sure.
Maybe he's not, because I'm not sure.
Yeah. Well,
right?
It could be more complex. It just isn't. And that's what, it's like, it feels like the question's more complex because Terry didn't know. Not because he wanted it to be complex.
Yeah, I want him to feel like, damn, this is complex. Sometimes I think maybe he thinks that.
Maybe. And it is complex. It's but even she paints it as not complex sometimes. And I had this question because, like, outside the castle, everyone was bowing super deep. Yeah. They're being very deferential because they're of a lower caste.
Yeah.
But Kahlan made it like nobody really likes or respects the Mother Confessor, and like all men hate her. And I'm like, is that true, or is it just like courtly men? Terry went out of his way to say that all of them were very deferential.
Deferential because they're scared.
Why are the rich people not scared and overwhelmed? They have more to lose in that way. I mean, I guess your life is your life. So
okay, well, I would argue the rich people probably have a more realistic sense of how the power works, how the limits of it. Realistically, will she be using it on us? Probably not, because she doesn't want to.
So,
she has to be diplomatic.
To the people who are uneducated on this matter,
yes,
she's a boogeyman.
Yeah,
and they don't know what she could
scary,
do. She could kill a whole village. They probably think that happens.
They think that, yeah.
Yeah, all right. That works.
You know what I mean? Like, I think people who are closer to the crown and political machinations and hear things are kind of like, how many of us can she kill? She's probably not going to, because that'll start off some big fucking war for no reason. Like, they're thinking in those terms where I think
and they're more self-important. So there's a little bit more of a, like, I'm not worth taking down. Yeah. But I also am in a position of, like, a little bit of sway.
And they've had, like, the leisure, I think, to maybe dwell on it as a concept. Sure. Right? Fair. Like, they've sat around and been like, actually, why does the Mother Confessor get this? And what are they doing in Idendrill? Yeah. Where, like, the commoners, I think, don't have time.
It's as nebulous as everyone else.
Yeah, they're like, I don't fucking know what's going on over there. I'm busy.
True.
You know?
They're more likely to hate Queen Milena than they are this magic boogie woman who they've never seen before.
Exactly.
All right, yeah, okay. All right.
That's my take.
I buy that.
I mean, yeah, obviously it would end up being more complex.
But to tie back into that, being scared of her, I understand, but, like, wouldn't some commoners just kind of love her?
That's what I think. I think people would be fucking obsessed with her, some of them. Like, not everyone.
Because there would be a tinge of that story that goes, she is an arbiter of truth, and someone is going to be inspired by that in a magical way.
I wonder if that's the case, and Kahlan is just so, like, down on herself and depressed right now that she's only really taking in the people who hate her.
Interesting.
I want to, like, find a cult of people who are, like, obsessed and dedicated to the Mother Confessor.
Yes. And they can wear red leather, and they...
Yeah.
They could.
They could. I mean, they could. Maybe they're
There's really no reason for them not to.
Maybe they're wearing black leather.
Oh.
Oh, right. Actually, most of the Confessor dresses were black.
Yeah.
So then they could have dominatrixes that wear black leather and are dedicated to their service.
To the Confessor,
and they dom people on behalf of the Mother Confessor, but they're subs to the Mother Confessor.
Wow, I was going to think maybe they can cut the hair for them, but I don't know. We'll figure it out, yeah.
What?
I don't know, some sort of ritual thing.
No, because they're hotter with long hair, as Richard...
Proof.
Will tell us.
The dress and the long hair, yeah.
I had a lot of thoughts.
Yeah, me too, I guess.
Look, thought-provoking
All right,
chapter.
so we're in the city.
Yes. He notices women have slightly longer hair inside the city than outside, but Kahlan's is by far the longest, and Richard thinks that he is so happy he did not cut her hair because she's the hottest girl here. And there is something kind of weird about it.
Yeah.
It literally feels like being like, oh, yes, the peasants, they're, like, covered in dirt and wearing ugly clothes. I'm so happy we're rich and clean. Like, we're hotter. It's like, okay, it's not their fault.
It's not their fault. No.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I don't know.
This makes me think long hair is a specific Terry kink. He likes women with long hair.
He must. And, well, I mean, I guess, like, that's not weird opinion. No, it's a more popular... preference, I think.
Yeah, but there's a certain time, like, it's like he's associating length with power, and I'm like, does a shoulder length versus a mid-back length versus a to-your-butt length, like, amplify some version of fertility that much? Like, I don't... To him, that's what I'm saying. It might be a kink. I don't know.
There's, like...
You might be into that.
Yeah, there's, like, you know, certain, like, fundamentalist Christian subgroups, they're, like, really into that.
Are they?
Yeah, I'm not saying Terry's a fundamentalist Christian.
No. No.
Like the Duggars, their whole thing, that's part of it.
It's interesting.
Yeah, beautiful long hair.
Samson-esque.
He was a boy.
He was, but, you know, it was a reflection of his fertility and power.
Well, I think that Samson and Julian probably are, like, similar archetypes.
I've said such. In the wee hours of the twilight. Yes.
Oh, you said that to him? Yeah, that's romantic.
Yeah. I've cut it into a poem or two.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
A horseman goes ahead to the castle to tell them she's arriving. They get there, trumpet sound. Brr, brr, brr. There's archers and men on the ramparts.
I have a whole ass soundboard, and you're gonna insult me.
Are you ready?
No, you're right. That's fine.
Do you have trumpets for me?
Yes. Yeah, I have trumpets.
That's Kahlan.
Yeah.
Kahlan riding up to the castle.
John Cena music blaring.
I feel like I must mention that there are, on the terraces around the castle, plants decorating them that...
Good catch. Yeah, I caught that on second reading. I didn't write notes, but tell me.
Must have been brought in from some greenhouses.
Oh, daily.
Oh. Ew.
Oh. Brother.
Kind
Brother, ew.
Brother, ew. Kind of reminds me of the Garden of Life.
Are those brought in every day?
No, but it's a big giant greenhouse.
Oh, true. But didn't Michael also have greenhouse?
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Who consistently has greenhouses?
Bad people.
Bad people.
Bad people have greenhouses.
How dare you have you're passionate about plants?
Horticulturist?
You
More like
have
child rapist.
You have a greenhouse? Ooh. Maybe you should have thought about how that's unnatural.
It's very unnatural. You took soil from the ground and put it in pots?
He doesn't like fake environments.
Doesn't like.
And also, hedges
Topiaries?
styled like objects and animals?
Excuse me.
Ew.
You did what? You took it from the natural world?
You took a beautiful tree and a tree that honestly like was murdering other trees with its natural form, which is maybe good and cool, and then you turned it into an animal?
Wow.
Wow, they're evil. Fuck them.
Kind of crazy.
I don't know. The greenhouse thing is so... I mean, it is a consistent theme. Taking plants out of season is just, like, bad. Fucking bad. I kind of get it. I kind of see...
He really needs to lean in more. He doesn't. He just says it, and it's like... What are you trying to say? Like, why are you so against this?
I don't think is he actually against that?
He keeps giving it to bad people for some reason.
I think it's just supposed to be like a subtle symbol of like trying to control the natural world beyond what you should be allowed to. But I'm just like, dude.
But why haven't we seen it with at least one morally gray person? Or even a good person could like a greenhouse.
No. But then again, I will mention...
Tell me.
That he also doesn't seem to like marble. And Terry himself, marble fireplace in the home. So, like, it's a little complicated, I think.
It's complex. Yeah.
So, Richard describes the castle as being huge, bigger than Shoda's, which I thought was kind of shocking.
Yeah.
Not what I would have imagined.
I think Shoda's was just like a magic storybook looking castle, and maybe therefore wasn't that big. It was just like the perfect little 2 towers and a gate, you know?
Maybe. And he is like, I mean, okay, the way he's describing it, he really is, even to my senses, making it sound like a huge castle.
Agreed,
right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not like, oh, that is small, but Richard's just a boy who doesn't know any better. I'm like, yeah, this sounds huge. And then he's like, so how is this like an insignificant kingdom? So now I'm also confused because I'm like, wait, in this universe,
how big is Aidendrill?
Do they just have like the biggest castles I've ever heard of in my life?
You've heard of mega churches? These are mega castles. 10 dragons could live in each one.
Even in the context of like standard fantasy, this is a big castle. So like Terry was like, in my world, think of the biggest castle you ever saw in a fantasy book.
Double it.
Mine are way bigger.
Double it. That's insignificant. Triple it.
It's just
That's
funny,
a minor castle.
Because the way it comes across when you're reading it reads like a typical like, oh, Richard's just like fish out of water.
Oh, yeah.
Inexperienced at life. He thinks things are amazing that aren't. Like, that's the standard trope we're like writing it as, but I'm like, no.
I think I might be a little overwhelmed.
That sounds crazy.
And I've been to the Vatican. Like, I don't know.
It's like, wow.
This is bigger than that.
Why the fuck are these castles so big?
Huge. They just have so much granite in the Midlands.
God, okay.
I guess you have magic, so maybe that helps.
Maybe that's why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can fashion things out of stone.
Okay, but like, I guess I'm like, yeah, but even in like other fantasy books, they also have magic.
They have magic, yeah.
Nobody bothered because it's just kind of like annoying to
I think
say
I remember
they're
the
big.
Wizard's Keep being like so fucking big.
Yeah, maybe you're right.
And there's like 4 people in it, and I'm just like, this feels so empty because there's just like 17 mess halls, and it's just like Zed with porridge in one of them. Like, yeah, Richard's got a big city attitude for a small backwoods boy's life experience, doesn't he?
I guess
like, he's
so.
pretty humbled in this chapter, but the way he been talking about everything, it's just like, I thought you had a little more experience. So the
No, I don't
Westlands
think
are not
so.
built up.
No.
Like, Michael's house is like the talk of the town.
Yeah.
And it's just like a McMansion.
Yeah, for sure.
That's
yes.
pretty funny.
And there were a lot of tapestries around that Richard marvels at. And he says that Michael has 2 tapestries
Which
in
he was
his
rather
house,
fond of.
and he liked them a lot.
Yeah.
But he liked them a lot, but he thought they were a grand extravagance. Of course, I guess, I don't know, tapestries also.
Put 'em on the
Poo-poo.
list.
We have one in this room here. Fuck us, I guess. And
Shout out.
Richard says the tapestries that Queen Milena has were to Michael's tapestries a stick drawing in the dirt to a fine oil painting.
Wow.
A stick drawing in the dirt. Wow. Okay,
Think
it
how
kind of
complex
sounds
of a
like
metaphor that is, though. It's
coming
like
for the mud people a little bit.
Michael's tapestry
Yeah.
is to
To
Queen Milena's
Milena's,
tapestry
yeah.
as a stick drawing in dirt is to a fine oil painting. It's okay.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, but like, so, okay, it makes sense though. I guess we are being like, magic is industrializing.
Oh, yeah.
In a sense, like they just can have much more exciting things than anyone in the Westlands can
Yeah,
have.
absolutely.
That's the upside of keeping magic. The downside is the baby pole murders. So, you gotta...
Feels like an even trade. I don't know. Mega castles and fine tapestries for like
Pretty
1
good.
or 2 babies killed a year?
Yeah.
Easy.
So Zed tells Richard to look less shocked.
Yeah.
Because, like, giving away the cover. And Richard says, is this the kind of place she's used to? And Zed says, no. She's used to much better than this. And you're like, whoa.
Much better. Much bigger.
Much better.
30 times taller, the castles.
Yeah, I guess I'm kind of like, when he's
How
describing it, I'm like,
big?
right, well, what's much better? Just bigger? What else could there be?
I think what Terry's trying to do is it's in Richard's head, so he's probably over-exaggerating
Maybe,
how big
yeah.
it is because his reference points are so small.
Maybe.
Because we get to the point with the staircase coming up, and he's like, my whole shed that I lived in my whole life could fit on that staircase landing, and it's like, that's a bad metric. You just don't know what houses look like. I don't know.
Well, he does. That's what houses where he comes from look like.
Yeah, so not very big,
I guess so.
Yeah.
I don't know.
My whole studio could fit on that landing.
Yeah, they do. They reach the grand staircase.
Yep.
He's like, my whole house could fit on there. It sounds like, yeah, he was living in like a studio. So they walk in front of the staircase. There's a group of people there with Queen Milena at the front, right in front of the stairs. Richard remarks that her hair is nearly as long as Kahlan's. That's kind of interesting. I'm like, oh, I guess this is like the next level of importance for women,
Makes
probably.
sense. Yeah, Queen, yeah.
Everyone bows to each other except Kahlan and the Queen, who do not bow to one another. Kahlan holds out her hand, which makes the Queen look a little irritated.
Mm-hmm.
And so then she, like, I liked all the flavor
whole
text
description was good,
here.
yeah.
She has her little dog. Kahlan's holding out her hand. She's like irritated. She hands the dog off to some guy who's dressed, I don't know. There's like a whole group
Red
of
and
men.
yellow pantaloons. I don't know. This man looked like
I guess we
6
gotta-
gestures like
Yeah,
stapled
there's
together.
like a bunch of jester men, like Swiss
Yeah.
guards.
Yeah, literally. Yeah.
Like hanging out around her. That Richard describes like, oh, there's men wearing these big colorful outfits near her. So anyway, Queen Milena gives the dog to one of them, and he describes that the dog is like biting him, and he's trying to like act like it's not happening. Like, this is a little cartoony in the way that Terry likes to do things, but I think it's good. Like I said, it was like silly. You kind of pictured the scene really well. The
Yeah.
big group of people, the dog, the Queen being like, I thought I liked it.
This is my problem because we spent a good amount of time here from Rachel's POV.
Yeah.
And
Where were all these people?
where were the people? Where were the details? Kids don't not see these things. They just see them in broader strokes.
Yeah.
Like, you should have described all of this, like, in crayon art, and that would have worked. Instead, it was, like, just missing.
I know. Where were the pantaloon men? Rachel never...
And, like, Rachel just cared about hating the dog, and we got that all the characterization of the queen were the same. And it's like, that's not... Kids don't take the world in that way. Right?
I mean,
like,
I don't know. But, like, are we supposed to think that the pantaloon men are new? I think we are.
From what?
I'm not sure.
Where did they come from?
I don't know.
Maybe we'll find out next chapter. They're all Daharan guards dressed in pantaloons.
So... yeah, so the queen kneels, some guy shows up holding a tray, there's like a little towel and a silver bowl of water, so Queen Malena takes the towel and she like cleans her lips off, and then she kisses Kahlan's hand. I was kind of like, well, this guy was like ready. Like, I guess they went ahead and called.
Yeah,
I guess they went ahead and said she's coming, so they got the whole thing. I thought it was cool that there's like this much specific, minute ritual around the Mother Confessor. I'm like, oh my god, honestly, this is like the majority of what I want out of the book, that he like holds to his chest for so long, and I don't really know why.
Because it's good. It's not good enough for me to wait for this long.
Exactly.
If you just gave me this the whole time, I'd be like having a much better time.
Me too.
But you were like, oh, just wait. And then I get there, I'm like, that was good. You should have written the whole book like this.
Yeah, I guess, but we've been waiting far longer than we should have been.
Yes, that's true.
Still, though, I think that in general, people would enjoy the book more if more of this was front-loaded.
I agree.
And so she kisses her hand, and Queen Malena says, "Fidelity sworn to the confessors on my crown, on my hand, on my life." Richard, like, is like, she's lying, which...
yeah, he's never seen someone lie so smoothly. We only got one fat comment for the entire
yeah,
chapter.
which impressive, yes.
She was amply fed. That was it.
Sure, which, you know, is supposed to, like, reinforce that she's, like, stealing the food from the farmers.
Oh my god,
yeah.
It's a political cartoon. That's what it is.
God. Kahlan says, "Rise, my child." Queen Malena says, "We have not requested a confessor." And then Kahlan hits her with a cold one. She says, "Nonetheless, I am here." Fire.
Get
Bars.
absolutely destroyed, yeah.
So Queen Malena says...
skill issue.
Fitting?
No.
No.
That's what it do, you
No. We're just gonna let it go.
Queen Malena says, "Okay, you're here. We'll have a big banquet to celebrate."
Actually, yeah, it's the second fat joke.
Yeah, I
She's
guess
so excited to have a banquet.
She turns to the men wearing the brightly colored clothing, and she says they are her barristers. What does that mean? What's a barrister?
It's like a servant type, like a high level presenter, right?
It's like a lawyer in England.
Oh.
So I was like, I don't think they're her lawyers.
A lawyer entitled to, particularly in higher courts, practice as an advocate. I guess they're the people who probably wrote the paperwork for Dark and Raw.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. Why are so many of them?
They're litigators.
Why they were
Terry's making some sort of commentary on barristers, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
the lawyers are in with the evil queen stealing the food.
I don't know. I wasn't sure. Maybe it has another meaning.
Yeah. Like
she says, "These are my barristers. I don't remember all their names." Okay. She introduces Silas Tannick and Brandon Gadding, who are wearing golden robes as chief advisors to the crown. Gold feels like a Daharan
it is.
fashion moment.
White.
So
That's,
I think they're like from Dahar or something.
Or paid by them.
Yeah. Then there's Lord Rondell, the Minister of Finance, and Lady Kylie, her star guide.
Where were all of these people? Why didn't Rachel interact with anyone or even see them and mention their names?
I think what he wanted to do... Okay, what he wanted to do was be like, she's just like so traumatized and in her like traumatized dynamic that she's like barely has room to like take all these things in. I think that there's a valid argument that she very well could do both of those things, but fine. I guess I'm like, maybe you could have just shown us Tamarang a little bit more, and maybe not from Rachel's point of view every time.
Sure. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then we could have just gotten this information. And then also, here's James.
Oh my
the
god.
court artist. And Zed, like, Richard notices Zed doesn't like that. James.
Oh my god.
Right. So Kahlan introduces Zed as her cloud reader and Richard as the seeker. Okay, here's where finally I'm gonna have a problem.
Yeah.
Okay, Queen Milena looks at Richard as his pretty pathetic protection for a mother confessor. So first of all, given all the lead up, the way everybody's been behaving, going here, the way Queen Milena reacted to receiving Kahlan. Obviously, as we got closer to the castle, we like confessors less and less. Obviously, Queen Milena's lying, but you definitely get the sense that they're all scared of her and incredibly bought into, like, having to make her happy and do what she wants, etc. So this seems like a very weird tone to take with her after all of that. Why are you going out of your way so intensely to keep her happy, but then also insulting her and her cohort immediately?
The way I take this is that Queen Milena views her subjects as subordinate to her only. So when you insult one of them, she's implying that Kahlan deserves much better protection.
I understand, but not, like, it is insulting Kahlan. Kahlan brought this person herself. It's
Correct.
not like...
Queen Milena lacks all tact because it's convenient. But
Okay, but Queen Milena clearly has enough tact to play this game.
So then the only thing that I was able to think of is that the name of Seekers has been dragged through the mud so much by people like Samuel over the last couple decades.
But still, here's the thing. I feel like they're going back and forth on whether Queen Milena's crafty in this way of, like, playing this game. And I feel like they're giving us the indication she's kind of good at it, right?
Sure.
As a big fat liar.
Yeah.
Right? And I think there'd just be a different way you could say, like, you could be like, oh, Mother Confessor, I feel you need far more protection.
That seems
Let
wholly
me give you
inadequate.
one of my guards.
Yeah.
Like, something like that where she's, like, sucking up to her, insulting them and sucking up to her. I just feel like it was like, what? Who would say it like that
Pretty pathetic.
if you're that afraid of her? Kahlan says, it is the sword that cuts. The man is unimportant. His brain may be small, but his arms are not.
I literally think what Terry was trying to do, and I don't think he did it, I don't think it necessarily makes sense, but what I think he was trying to do was imply the role of the Seeker is so besmirched at this point that she looks at him and says, why the fuck is he here? He's nobody.
Which, in a sense, I guess is...
It's literally like, that's an embarrassing... It's like, here's my protection, the garbage man. And it's like, what are you doing? What do you mean you have the garbage man here?
I mean, yeah, I guess I'm like, what Kahlan says just seems so fucking obvious. Like, she's like, yeah, he's big and he has a big magic sword.
Yeah.
Okay, it's just like, I don't... no shit.
That's the only response back to it. She shouldn't have said it. She shouldn't have said it like that.
I felt like this was so, though... Okay, Terry built up this, like, Kahlan's gonna be mean. Kahlan's gonna do something in Mother Confessor mode to upset Richard. And this is the only thing that happens that even approaches that. And I guess I feel like it was just put in so she could insult like, because Kahlan being like, he's stupid. I don't care about him. I just need him for his big muscles, was like our attempt at being like, this is what Richard was, like, afraid of.
I guess, yeah.
And then I'm like, it doesn't really cut much. And Richard doesn't really even seem to give a shit.
Why'd you say I have a little brain? I have a big brain. Bigger than my muscles.
At this point, that's what's so funny about this, is I don't know. Richard could be, like, super cool and probably, like, play the, like, be like, I understand what we were doing, even though he couldn't comprehend it ahead of time.
Yeah.
Or he very well, like, at this point, the way these characters act, we might come out the other side and this might be, like, a plot point that Richard's like, why'd you say that?
I know.
I don't know.
That's just how it is. When we hit the woods, you never know what
No, I don't. I really don't know.
Thought process, yeah.
Princess Violet arrives. She walks up without bowing and says to Kahlan, your hair's too long. Perhaps we should cut it for you.
Crazy thing to say, even in this world. Even to another queen.
Again, the queen seems really stressed about confessors and, like, being respectful to them just for, like, self-preservation purposes. Yeah. Why would they not have taught the daughter, like, you could be a bitch, but just no matter what you do, don't be a bitch to this one lady?
because clearly Queen Melena's getting on her high horse and being like, Rawl's going to save us from this stupid
I guess maybe that's
stuff.
true.
And she says that stuff around Princess Violet, and the kid takes it to heart.
Rawl's gonna
Here's the exact moment where you get to humanize Princess Violet, and Terry doesn't do it.
No, he doesn't.
If she said this shit and Queen Melena turns around and just smacked the crap out
I
of
know,
her
that would have
daughter
been
in front
so
of everyone,
fucking
it
good.
would have been great.
That would have
Because then
been
you're
good.
like, oh, this poor abusive child is poorly abused.
Oh my god, no. That would be so ridiculous.
We had to have an adult man with a magic sword threaten her.
Which, like, I'm fine with, but, like, that would have added a lot of interesting characterization.
So many weird little things where, like, everything has to overlap perfectly. Like, talking about, like, even Caitlin saying he uses the sword too much, to then immediately have Richard use the sword.
To be fair, he could have been inspired by the comment.
Yeah, but we know Terry has a like chronic problem with doing this.
know,
if it wasn't for that, I'd maybe
but this
agree.
one time, it kind of has a through line that makes sense for me.
Sure. It happens immediately.
Man,
though.
I would have really liked if Queen Melena had been the one
just
to do it, because you'd be like, oh wow, that's how much she's like invested in her self-preservation, that she's like,
and that makes sense.
fuck you, little kid. And it's like
for her,
right? It's like
like
for to save the daughter, to save everybody here, to also because maybe she is somewhat abusive and selfish.
Yeah, if Richard did the threat and then she was just like grabbed her daughter by like the hair and like handed her to the barrister and said like make sure you punish her or something like that.
Yeah.
That would have been a great little scene of just being, all right, yeah.
It would make so much sense because you'd be like, oh, Princess Violet enacts violence onto those she sees underneath her because her mom does that to her, and we're just doing this chain of...
Yes, that's where it comes
that's
from.
Always pretty much...
Bad people aren't just born liking abusing others like that.
I guess some are, but it's just like...
It's so rare.
And it's just more interesting. That would have been a more interesting scene. But
Way
yeah,
more.
so anyway, she's like, wants to cut Caitlyn's hair, and Richard notices that the queen smiles a little bit. Again, it just doesn't really play well for me. I think the queen should have been like stressed, like, oh fuck,
Yeah.
my stupid little daughter
Could have just
is
like,
fucking
got
this
me
up
killed.
for me. Yeah. But yeah, I think you're right. I guess I'm not considering that she's like, I've got DR on my side, you know?
That's what she's doing.
Okay, but like
But
not
Humble
right
still
this second, you
Can
don't.
humble you immediately. And you didn't give him the box. So like you're really in
True.
ship's creep every which way.
Yeah,
you know?
right. What,
Yeah.
did you guys leave off on good terms? I doubt it.
That seems weird, right?
I
Yeah.
don't think you did.
I think we're gonna roll immediately into the next chapter where things start getting a little like, oh no, who's doing what?
Richard, he doesn't like that she smiled, and he takes out the sword, points it an inch from Princess Violet's face, and says, bow to the Mother Confessor or die. That seems, I mean, like, given the tone we've gone with, like, how intense all the security and pomp and circumstance around Mother Confessor is, this seems on brand.
It does. But like everything always has to have a reflection too. It's like when Rachel and Richard met up.
Yeah.
And like they had that immediate bond and
Yeah,
they both really
oh,
like
yeah.
each other. It's like as soon as Richard sees Princess Violet, he has to threaten her life. And it's like it doesn't
I mean, that's his
things
style.
don't always work out that
this
way.
is his
though.
style.
Yeah.
And sometimes, okay, I don't know. I have like my moments where I can be like, okay, he's just going like really black and white. We're doing like simple storytelling. Bad guys are bad, bad, bad. Good guys are good, good, good. We're not going for gray.
Yeah.
I think I've probably said this, but again, I think it works better if you want to go black and white. For me, I like the black being like monsters and like manifestations of evil.
Sure.
I think that's when it's like, yeah, don't go gray. They're bad. Fuck them up.
Yeah. Like a lich. You're just like, yeah.
Of course, exactly.
He
But like,
sacrificed the whole
it's kind of
village.
weird to do it with humans on humans.
Yeah.
It doesn't work as well, I think. I feel like given that I know he's doing that and the simplicity of it all, like, I don't know, the Rachel, Princess Violet, Richard thing, I'm like, those are like the couple of times I'm kind of like, ugh, this is what I'll give a pass.
Okay.
And then there's other times where I really, really, really think it's like falls on its face.
Yeah.
I thought this was interesting. I don't know if it stuck out to you, but so Queen Melena then is like, after the Princess Violet threatening session is over,
Okay.
Queen Melena is trying to she's like, oh, I'll put you guys up in these rooms and we'll make dinner plans. And then Kahlan says, I'm not here to eat. Who else said that
Dark and
exactly?
Raw.
Dark and Raw said that to Queen Milena.
I was just thinking that, yeah.
Yeah, he came in and she was like, "Oh, we'll make dinner," and he was like, "I'm not here to eat." Oh, I think that's interesting that he paralleled them like that.
Yeah, it is.
Right? See, like, that's the sort of thing that makes me be like, okay, maybe there is more gray than I'm giving him credit for. Maybe not.
I don't know.
Maybe it is that subjective, like, look, two people could come in and say,
I'm not here to eat. One's
but,
good and one's bad.
Yeah, one was amazing and one was terrible. It just depends why you said you're not here to eat, right? Maybe that's all it is. Anyway, I thought it was interesting that they both did that.
But, like, in this moment, Zed couldn't have been, like grown a little. Like, that would have been funny. Because Zed's always trying to eat.
No,
like,
he's so... No.
But that's what I'm saying.
Zed's winning an Oscar right now. Are you
But that's
kidding?
just so weird for Zed.
It's not. We are... Canon characterization element of Zed is, like, he knows how to fucking role play.
The thing he likes more than anything is role play.
No, he's just so committed. Maybe it's a value of his.
The cloud reader, Zed Zorander, doesn't give a shit about food like
nope.
that. Yeah.
No, I would have hated it if he groaned. I would have loathed that. I'm so glad he did
You would
it.
have had a sense of Richard being like, he thought he heard Zed's stomach growl.
Ew,
I feel like he normally would have put it in though.
It feels like something you might do, but I'm happy he did not. No, I'm glad. I liked seeing how intense Zed was was this.
Sure. Brandon would have done it.
Brandon
would have done it. He would have done it.
No, he so would have.
There's no chance.
He loves his little jokes,
I know,
you know.
More than anything. More than plot.
He loves nicknames and jokes. Okay, if nothing else, we cannot come for Brandon for lacking plot.
Oh, he has a lot of it. Yeah, that's true.
He does
He has a hell of a lot of plot.
He's got a lot of plot.
A lot of plot going on.
You know, I would not have liked that. I really like that finally somebody is acting, like Zed's intensity during this is finally in line with how seriously I feel like we should be taking the situation.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Right? Like him and Kahlan, I'm like, finally people are being like, no, we really got to do it.
That's why it's kind of crazy that coming up with this plan was impossible for him, but, you know.
That they don't go together.
Apparently.
If he could pull it off this well, I think he could have come up with some of it.
Yeah.
So she's like, actually, I came to inspect your dungeons. And Queen Milena says, dungeons? It's filthy down there. They're back to stupid.
Youngsters,
yeah. And Kahlan says she knows the way, and she starts walking with Zed and Richard, and she tells Queen Milena, you'll wait here until I'm finished. So then as they're walking, Kahlan says to Zed, I do kind of like that, like, Kahlan and Zed are much more, I guess this was to counterbalance the fact that Richard came up with the whole fucking plan.
Yeah.
Kahlan and Zed are very much the leaders here.
Oh, yeah.
Like, even in these in-between moments, they're conferring together and planning.
Yep.
And Richard really doesn't contribute much. I just wish everyone contributed a little more evenly in each scenario. I don't know why it has to be like, their turn, your turn. Everybody's dumb when it's your turn. Everyone's dumb when it's their turn. Everyone could just do a little bit.
Well, he put the sword and then he cuts the jail or something. I'm still not sure.
I don't know what happened there.
He cuts the jail.
I must have read it like 5 times. Anyway, we'll get to it. So Kahlan says to Zed she's angry Giller wasn't like in the cohort of people because she didn't want to actually go to the fucking dungeon. And Zed's like, yeah, I agree, but let's just do this fast. And he tells Kahlan she's been handling everything really well, which is so true. She has been doing such a good job.
What a queen.
Yeah. And then Zed tells Richard to stay away from the court artist. And honestly, Richard makes the same joke we made. He says, why? He might draw a bad likeness of me, which is exactly what we said.
But, like,
stop calling him the court artist if he's doing magic.
If he's a wizard or a mage or something, yeah. But also, yeah, so is the astrologer also magical?
Right, that's what
Are they all minor magics, but his is like an offensive type that you need to be worried about?
Perhaps the mystery is like, it's hard to know. So then...
This shit was convoluted.
So convoluted. I'm really still a little confused. Wipe that grin off your face. He might draw a spell around you.
Okay. Yeah, all right. Because draw, the word, I get it, yep.
Why do you need an artist? Well, draw a picture or you draw blood? Draw a spell.
Wait.
What's that mean?
A triple. A rare
triple. Sometimes you get it's mostly doubles. Sometimes you get a triple.
Draw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fist. He said, why do you need an artist for a spell? I had to write... Here's the thing. If it was a succinct explanation, I could just give you a little summary, but I'm confused by it, so then I end up writing the whole thing. Okay, so there are many different languages in the Midlands, so the same one is the one spoken in Westland. Okay, so that makes sense how they're all communicating. They share a common language. Right, Mud people have their own language. I guess there's some other ones.
Uh-huh. Wait.
What?
Didn't Addie and Kahlan talk in Midland language that Richard couldn't understand?
Right, but I think that was just like one of the languages from the Midlands he doesn't understand.
But doesn't Zed right now say they share a common language? So it's a dialect of Westlandese that...
No, like meaning...
There's a language in the Midlands that
it's like English.
Does not share a common root?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like most people speak English in Midlands and Westland, but then in the Midlands there's like a bunch of other little languages a lot of them speak that no one in the Westland speaks.
So they just picked one of those.
For Addie?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know why.
How did they know? Whatever.
I don't know.
Yeah, whatever.
I'd have to go
weird,
back
right?
and reread it.
Kind of weird.
Don't remember how it was described. Yeah. So to be spelled... So for someone to put a spell on you, you have to be able to understand the language. If you can't speak the language, you can't put a spell on them.
That seems like a bad system. How did wizards go to war? They learn the other side's language first?
Yeah, probably, right? That's not impossible.
I guess not. Or they just work with basic enough things that are like the court artist.
I don't know, but then I'm like, is a spell in the way we're talking about it now different than like shooting wizard's fire? Is that considered something else?
I don't speak fire. It doesn't work out. Like, yeah, I don't know. Like,
So, but everyone can understand a drawing. He can draw a spell on almost anyone. Not Kahlan or me, but on you. Stay away from him. But here's the thing. If everyone in the Midlands basically speaks the Westland language, why do we need the court artist? Why would he not
any old person could just speak. He could speak whatever language Richard. So like we didn't need him to.
I don't really get it.
It's like a cool teaching moment for no reason. You just be like, he can do magic to you.
Right, I don't know.
And he can't do it to Zed and Kahlan, just Richard. Why?
Well, I guess because they're inherently already too magical. I don't know why that would matter.
Richard's also potentially a wizard and has the sword.
Is the court artist a wizard, or does he just do spells?
He just does...
He's not a wizard, right?
Spells, I guess, yeah. Art techniques. Whatever that is. In the same way that Addie's not a wizard, she's a witch woman, and that's
but she's a
different.
thing. He doesn't have a title other than court artist. Is that its own?
It might be. I don't know. Maybe artist.
But not
has
artist.
Magic
just
artist.
spell artist.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe.
What category is this man? I want to know.
There is no system of categories, so I can't tell you. It's just like whatever.
I just don't really get it. If most of them speak the same language, I don't know why this matters much.
I don't know.
So they get down to the dungeons. The guards let them in. Kahlan asks how many of the prisoners are sentenced to death. He says all of them.
All of them.
For crimes against the crown.
Damn.
She goes up to the bars and she's like, have you all committed capital offenses?
The long-winded farmer is back.
So some guy walks up, he spits at her. He says, come to do the queen's dirty work, confessor. And then she says, I do not come here on behalf of...
So, once again, here's my question, right? So, like, they're all afraid of her. I guess this man's got nothing to lose.
Well, he's got nothing to lose. He's going to die anyway.
But, like, so he doesn't know the confessors don't do that?
Well, he's either going to die or he's going to he's not even going to... No, because he's either going to die or he thinks he's going to get confessed, which is essentially the same as dying.
Correct.
And since he's getting confessed as a guilty man, he's not even going to get the brophy treatment.
Well, he's not guilty.
But he doesn't know that she's going to agree. He thinks, if the queen thinks she's guilty, the confessor will as well.
And I guess it's subjective why he's dying. Yeah. Is subjective crown-based execution something that doesn't happen very often in the Midlands?
Well, that's the thing. If she comes to confess you and they're like, he sold his crops for too much money, and then she's like, I agree, that's a crime. Like,
and Kahlan is not... She's not a judicator of law. She just like, says the law of your land says this, that and you can kill for it. And he did it. He says he did it, so...
Right.
Yeah.
So anyway, I see why he doesn't care or like her.
Sure.
So she says, I didn't come here on behalf of the queen. I come here on behalf of truth. So then, oh my God.
Who's truth?
The truth is none of us have done anything. We spoke up against new laws. Since when is speaking up against your family starving or freezing to death?
He's the long-winded farmer. He did this
A
the last
capital
time,
crime.
too. This man
Shut
is-
him up. I
Yeah,
don't know.
seriously.
The
Confess
tax-
his ass now and say never talk again. That's what I would do.
The tax collectors took me crops. I put that in. He didn't say that. Oh, he did say that. I just added me. The tax collectors took me crops so we would starve. And when I sold a little bit, they said I was overcharging people. The prices for everything are going wild. We are all innocent farmers, tradesmen, or merchants. We're all going to die for trying to earn a living from our work. This is the shit where the black and whiteness is boring and I hate it because they don't have any real people to lock up. Everyone's good in this town and they don't have to bother locking up real criminals. They don't exist. They only lock up.
She's just going nuts, locking up.
But wouldn't there be
commoners.
like horrible people in the mix here?
Yeah, absolutely.
Why is it only
maybe
these-
they just kill them real quick. They don't even bother. Maybe this dungeon right now is just for political prisoners. I don't know.
I just feel like, and it's like, I guess we tried to add grayness with Brophy. Like, I guess I'm like, couldn't some of these men have like, he looks like he's dead. Like we skinned him.
Not yet.
Not yet what? You're convinced he's gonna die.
Yeah, he probably won't.
He's gonna leave all his pups behind?
I hope not.
I don't like the idea of that.
No, me neither.
Well, anyway, I just think it's boring that all of the people are always like, I'm in jail for some reason that we all universally agree is absurd. It's like, make it a little complicated. Make me
know.
question, oh, is that reasonable or not?
It's also boring to do right now.
So boring. Yeah, don't care. And
Caitlin was like, I can't just get the box. I have to do a 100% speed run. Like, she's like, I'm hitting the dungeon too because I got to get the prisoner plot line
the
going.
Ocean's 11 music. You need to like act this out while that's playing.
Going down to the dungeon. Open the door.
Okay.
Clap.
Are any of you guilty for capital crimes?
No, ma'am, no way. We ain't guilty. Guilty of feeding our families. Bitch. Hawk 2.
Hold on, let me get a verse in. I came here on behalf of the queen. No, the opposite. I came here on behalf of truth, not the queen.
Truth? Who's truth?
Objective truth exists in this reality.
Black and white. I can tell you what you can do.
What?
Mother, confess me.
Who wants a confession?
Me, I.
All these men?
Yes,
They want confessions?
And
Who's that?
just your boy Sidon.
That was crazy.
Was it? Yeah, we'll get to it. Was it crazy?
It's just what we did.
That was
crazy.
awesome.
That was awesome.
Sweet. That was fucking good.
Oh my god.
That's a highlight.
Okay.
Wow, we went nuts there.
Okay, so yeah, Caitlin asks if they want to get confessed, and then like one man comes back up and he's like, I'm gonna die anyway, so I might as well. And then all the men are like, me, I'm innocent. Okay. And
We covered this in our song.
I know, but like, thought maybe they needed a little bit more description.
Fine.
And so, Kaylin's like, and then she says to Zed, she's like, only 3 men have ever wanted to willingly give me a confession. Then, yes, from the other cell, we hear, Kaylin? That's a little child's voice. So I was right. Do you remember? I called this. Do you remember I did?
I don't
Give
remember
me
you
credit.
calling it, no. You called this?
I'll rewind the tape. I did. Yes, because they said when we were in the Rachel chapter with the original potion drinking banquet, they were like, I don't know, maybe it was Rachel. She was like, oh, there was a weird boy who spoke a weird language who showed up.
Oh, yeah,
and
you
I
did.
said, I
you
was
did.
like, I think that's
That's
Sidon.
so dumb.
Why is Sidon here? Why did
Dark and Raw flew directly from the Mud People to here to get the box?
So he's just keeping him there on hold for Demon?
Well, yes, but quite clearly Demon has something to do with this area because...
I guess he'll be by at some point
because
to pick...
of Brophy that Demon hangs out around here sometimes.
Well, yeah, but because Demon's been the messenger boy between Dark and Raw and Queen Milena for a while now.
Yes.
So I think he was like, Demon's going to show up at some point.
I'll tell him to go pick up the present in the dungeon. Right.
Okay, so I mean, listen, I'm happy he's here.
Yeah.
Much better.
Yeah, you can't get the good ending unless you free Sidon from the dungeon, so that's why she's here. Yeah.
Absolutely not, yeah. Kahlan sees it Sidon. She turns on the guards and immediately says, tell these men... Wait, no. She says, these men have given their confessions and I find them innocent. Let them out. And then, yeah, okay. What happens here? I don't know. Kahlan says that. It says Richard takes out the sword, swipes it through the bars, so you're like, oh, he's just opening the door, right?
That's
or
what
making
I thought,
a hole. Yeah. It's like sparks are flying, it's going through the bars. Then he kicks the door. I'm still like, what door? The door into the cell or the door they came in?
No, the door into the cell. So what I think he did for no reason.
No, because it's not open
through the bars just to show you that my sword can cut steel in half. Saying, open the door now. Even though he could just... Well, like, couldn't he just make an Acme hole and just, like, cut a hole
I don't know,
in the
I'm
bars?
so confused. It's like he sliced through the bars, kicked a door. Whose door? I don't know. And he tells the guards to open it or he will slice them in half and take the keys. So... I don't get it. What door did he slam? If the door was open, why'd he close it and then say, give me the keys?
No, he kicked it. Like, the door to the cell is locked.
I feel like he said it slammed shut. I thought it said that, so I was like, what?
Is he behind them?
I think maybe it's to make sure the guards can't
leave.
So he's slicing through the thing, but not like in any meaningful way.
Just showing you he can.
Then he kicks the door to lock the guards and it says, give me the keys. I don't know, just open the door.
Give me your keys. Yeah.
Give me your keys. Kahlan picks up Sidon and grabs the guard by the collar and she like gets in his face. And she demands that all the men are escorted outside of the city and says, if you fail in any way, you will answer to me. And you're like, that's hot.
It was hot. And then I like the little, you have my word. And she says, no, I have your life. Oof.
Oof. Okay.
No, on my word, on your life.
Okay, that's a little less hot. You made it better.
See?
You have my word, I have your life. That's way hotter. Yeah, that's way hotter.
I have your life. My favorite line in this chapter is the weirdly overt racism that we get.
What about Sidon jabbering?
Yeah!
In Mud People language? Oh, well, I mean, you just racist yourself during the song.
Because I was defended by the text. Sidon jabbered back in the Mud People language. That's a weird way to phrase that.
It is.
You don't need to phrase it like that.
No.
He jabbered back? Like an animal? Come on, man.
I don't know if that's what he meant, but it is weird choice of words. So the prisoners are crying and thanking her and bowing, and she says to leave. And she says, but remember, confessors serve no one, only the truth.
Facts. Defending her title. If she really hated her position so much, I don't think she'd bother right now, right?
Bother what?
To let everyone know, like, think about.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, she does seem to take. She takes some pride in
this role. Yeah.
What confessors do, which I am not opposed.
You know, maybe she's frequently wanted to do this sort of thing and never has.
Why?
Because it's like it might be overstepping.
Oh well, I guess so. Yeah,
she's like, I'm the last one.
I'm the only one.
And we're dying by winter if I don't figure this out.
That so plays into the individualism theme.
Yeah.
Where it was like, actually, it really sucked when Kahlan had to, like, collaborate with a group. It's really awesome when she's just a dictator.
Even though that group had a hive mind and was always the same.
They were always never jealous, and they were always...
And they loved each other, and they brushed each other's long hairs, and...
They head back to the queen. Kahlan gives Sidon to Zed. She, like, takes a minute before she walks in. She, like, smooths out her hair, puts her confessor face back on. I like seeing the, like, how she, like, goes in and out of it is cool.
Yeah.
And they walk in. Kahlan asks why Sidon was in the dungeon. The queen is like, oh, I think we just found this little boy stealing.
She gives some bullshit answer.
We were looking for his parents. So, Kahlan...
Like, you're at the mall.
I think there are, like, in the past, absolutely, it would be like, this child keeps stealing things. I put him in the dungeon. I'm going to give him back to his, like, parents. I don't feel like that's that crazy.
This coupled with the rest
babies
of they do be killing babies.
with rods on their neck. How worked up is she going to be about that?
Yeah. She probably also could have just said, I don't know. Which is what she said about everyone else.
So Kahlan's like, actually, I found all the prisoners innocent. And I released them, and, like, you should be really grateful because I saved you the hassle of executing a bunch of innocent men. That's good, right? And then she says she demands that their families are compensated for this error. And if this error is repeated next time I return, I will not only empty the prison, I will empty the throne.
Damn.
That's cool. So, like, yeah, I don't know, utilizing magic and might and force and threat is cool.
It's cool as hell.
You just gotta be doing it for good reason.
Exactly. And she's never done it before. She said that, right? Like, she's never actually undespoted someone.
Yeah.
No coup. No confessor coup.
But I'm curious, like, did Kahlan just not come up against, like, problems like this in the past? Or did she, and she was too passive to make any big stances, and now because of, like, Richard and the end of the world and all this, she's, like, taking a new leaf?
Maybe.
That's what it kind of reads to me, right? Like, she's resentful maybe of the confessor role, given how she used to have to...
In the structure of the old world.
Right.
But now she's like, I'll use it for good.
Man, the individual is real powerful.
So powerful.
So... Right, which is why, they come in, these three individuals, right? Met by that sea of barristers and people, and we're supposed to be like, that's fucked up. That's why you have greenhouses. We are individuals.
We would never store plants out of season.
The queen thanks her, and she's like, oh, it must have been a mistake of the army commanders. And so Kahlan says, this is my only other big gripe. Kahlan says she has to go, but she wants to speak to her wizard, Giller, before she does. She has to say something to him. And this is so weird. Queen says, well, that would be not possible. And so she says, make it possible right now. Please believe me, Mother Confessor, you wouldn't want to see Giller in his... present condition. And then she says, right now. Very well, he is upstairs. And why could you not just be like, he's dead?
He's dead and
he's
hanging.
Dead. He is dead. That's all you had to say. I want to see my wizard Giller. He's dead.
Oh.
Why did she keep saying... Why this?
Can Zed talk to Giller in the afterlife?
Oh. Why? Yeah, why not, right? Wait. They've had so much access to ghosts in the afterlife.
I'm just wondering. Yeah. Maybe because the boxes now, it's like a little... Didn't the parents say we can't do this again or something?
I think he was like already pushing it, and he probably has such a strong connection to his parents that maybe he can manifest them, but not just like anybody.
True.
Right?
Yeah, no, that would work for me. And also, they didn't know Giller was dead until now anyway. So
no, I know. I meant like he could do it now.
Next episode, yeah.
I just thought this was such a weird back and forth, and I feel like I'm supposed to take it like, oh, she's so scared of Kahlan that she couldn't find a way to tell her. I don't know. I think she could have just said, he's dead.
This sounded like some coy bullshit. Like she was being like, well, my new daddy did something, and you're not going to like it.
I just hated that. Again, why are you like saying and doing things that might upset her? This could have easily upset Kahlan very much, where she could have come down and been like, what the fuck's wrong with you?
So, hey, I'm going to execute
you didn't tell me
now.
that my man is disemboweled in a tower right now?
I didn't want to see that.
I didn't want to go up there.
What's wrong with you? Yeah.
Right, I don't know. Why even risk it? So, the Pantaloons man brings them up spiral stairs into a tower in the castle. And they go in and they're like, what the fuck? The room has no roof.
Blown apart. Yeah.
There's one beam left with Giller's naked body hanging upside down from a rope with a meat hook attached to
Through
it.
the bone of his ankle.
In his ankle, and he has his guts, like, upside down, like, spilling up over his head.
I'm definitely using this in D&D, by the way.
It's a cool image.
It's
it's like
great.
grotesque, but it's like...
It's great.
It's cool. Especially the roof not being there, that's cool.
That's what I'm saying. With the one beam, with the...
The Hanged Man.
Yeah. 100%.
Look at all these tarot cards, right?
And the tower.
And the tower, yeah. Yeah, true.
The tower blowing up is part of the tower, right?
Yeah, but the tower has to collapse.
Well, okay. The Hangman is holding it together right now, I guess. Technically.
That's kind of true.
Yeah.
That's kind of true. Okay. Did Terry like tarot?
Shows a man suspended, hanging upside down, viewing the world from a completely different perspective, and his facial expression is calm and serene.
Yes, I know. I thought
suggesting that he is... His hanging position is by his own choice. He has a
Yes?
halo
Oh my
around his
God.
head, symbolizing new insight, awareness, and enlightenment.
Holy shit, that's okay.
His
That
right
can't
foot
be.
is bound to the tree, and his left foot remains free, bent at the knee. Whatever.
How can that be a coincidence? It's not. He
It's
definitely
not.
did that on purpose.
Yeah, 100%.
That's pretty cool. I like that.
The Hangman is the ultimate card of ultimate surrender, of being suspended in time, and of martyrdom and sacrifice to the greater good.
Hello.
There you go. All right.
I mean, I think he was a tarot card reader now. Kahlan hides in Richard's shoulder. Zed shields Sid's eyes. Then Zed gives Sid to Kahlan, and he starts walking around the room. There are splinters of furniture stuck in the walls as if, like, they had, like, melted into it.
So cool.
Zed calls Richard over, and they're looking at big black spots on the wall that are basically like in the shape of men.
Yep.
And they have a band of gold-colored metal above the elbows, which we know are the Daharan guards, have their little spiky things. And so Zed says, this was wizard's fire. And Richard says, you mean these were men? And he says, burn them right into the wall. But
so the room is grotesque and horrible.
Yeah.
Kahlan's upset, hiding Sid's face. And Zed immediately is like, oh, this is cool shit. Let me go over. Did you know what spell they used here?
he's just used to it.
He is, unfortunately, probably. But
So he says, this was more than just wizard's fire. Taste it. And then Richard says, why? He says, to learn something. Richard tastes it. He says, it tastes sweet. I don't know how much I love, like, the whole explanation here. It's okay. But, so whatever. This is more than wizard's fire. Giller gave his life energy to it. He gave his life into the fire. This was a wizard's life fire. Wow.
I like the existence of such a thing.
No, I like that. I meant more the, like, sweetness thing. So he says, he died making this fire.
Richard's always, like, anything magical, Richard's just like, I gotta spell it out.
Yes, and he did it to save another.
He died making this fire?
That's what makes it taste sweet. If he had done it just for himself, it would have tasted bitter. Okay. What's the mechanism at play there? Who knows? Zed goes up to the body, and he has to, like, move Giller's guts out of the way to see his face. I liked how Zed's characterization, how, like, unfazed he was by everything.
Yeah.
Like, just, like, going and moving the guts and whatever. That's what I want to see from him, and this was done well.
That's what's cool about wizards.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, and he's doing it.
And he says he has left a message. He is smiling, meant to show he did not give up the information that was wanted. All of this is like in that like weird nebulous thing of like, could you conclude all of this from? But I'm like, yeah, it's good enough. Yeah, I think you could.
Yeah.
Right.
It's pretty straightforward. And I just have to assume at all times Zed has like eyes that can see things we can't.
Sure.
So like things that are like a clue, he's like,
It also could be like,
it.
there could be like a precedent in wizard community for like, oh, wizards of history have done this.
They sleep with their eyes open.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, you're
like,
right.
I
Like
don't know.
there's something there where.
So like,
yeah.
I don't know, it really worked for me. And so Zed points out the cut on his stomach, and he says he was practicing anthropomancy.
Yep.
And he cuts similar to how his father did. And then Richard reflects on how this was done to his father.
Yep.
Father, cut.
What does it mean? I like the that's a bit of world building that Terry struggles with that I like.
What?
Zed being like he cuts like his father without having to spell it out. It's like oh, Zed had a lot of experience with Panis Rahl.
True. I would like more of that.
You know what I mean?
But yeah.
Like, oh, Zed is like a student of this bad family now. Mm-hmm. And it's like, that's cool. Now we know he hasn't been here enough to talk about enough of that stuff. But it's like, yeah, that give everyone stuff like that. And the book becomes so much more like, yes.
That is true.
You know?
Yeah. So Kahlan asks if they're sure it was Darken Rahl. Zed says, well, I don't know who else. He's the only person who wouldn't have been.
Yeah, who else is doing this?
I get it. You know what? I'm with her. Like, just being like, is there any possibility somebody else did this?
James.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? I don't know what his powers are.
Yeah.
He says he's the only person who wouldn't be hurt by wizards. Life, fire, and the cut looks like Darkens. So then Zed really gets into the intricacies of the cut here. The cut has like a curve on the edge, and basically because Darken Rahl has that like hook knife,
Wicked blade, yeah,
and like it should turn back into a hooked cut on the other side. I don't know. I just have to say what it says.
We got a little Dexter going on here.
When incantations are spoken, the hook is cut, binding the questioned to the questioner. So it's like a spell, like evil spell. Yeah. The hook forces them to give up the answer to the question asked. But see here, the hook is begun, but it is not finished. That is when Giller gave his life to the fire. He waited until Rahl was almost done, then at the last instant denied him what he sought. Probably the name of who has the box. Without life in them, the entrails tell Rahl nothing. I liked that. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's true of real...
Anthropomancy.
Yeah, like, was that a concept? I'm not sure. Maybe.
It's definitely a pseudo magic science that doesn't have real rules. So.
Yeah, I think it's a cool concept that, like, if the person's dead, the
guts have to be living. Yeah,
I like that.
That makes sense.
Basically, the situation is, like, Rahl puts Giller upside down. He's doing the cut. There's a special way he's going to do this where he's, like, making it so that Giller has to answer whatever question he asks. And then Giller, like, held out until like the last second he could, making Darken think he was going to answer it,
and then just
was like, bye.
Just fucking cucked him right there.
Yeah, he was like, see ya. And interesting, so weird. Did you see on the Sword of Truth subreddit there was discussion of this exact moment?
No,
like yesterday or 2 days ago.
That's funny.
I thought we should talk about it.
Yeah,
it was posted 1 day ago, which is weird. It was just like right after I'd read this. So this person was asking, would you say that Giller tricked Darken Rahl in this scenario?
Tricked him how?
Like by, I guess, like holding back the wizard's life fire, letting Rahl get as far as he did by like drawing the whole thing out, where like Rahl was thinking he was getting the answer. He was getting the answer, and then at the last minute using the spell without Darken Rahl realizing he was going to do that plan. Is that a trick?
Is it a trick? Like a magic trick?
No, like a trick.
Like a trick in the way that's real magic. That's what I meant.
Like in the way that he should be a wizard of the First Order because he tricked another wizard.
Holy shit.
There you go. Boom.
I mean, holy shit, that's a dumb concept anyway. But holy shit, within the realm of the thing,
if we're in
that does kind of work. And yeah, he finally did a selfless act, so that's kind of all the same, right? Like he's proved himself to be a good person in the end. And yeah, no, I kind of think. I mean,
and then a lot of people were arguing against it. Like they were being like, he didn't trick him; it was just a lie. So I said, because I commented, of course, and so I was just like, this is my problem with the whole concept. The line between a trick and a lie is so very gray and not non-existent. No,
I don't think he lied. He tricked him.
I think he tricked him.
He definitely tricked him.
I feel like, honestly, I'm coming for you guys in the comments. I feel like you guys just didn't read this part recently and you forgot because people were like, he just was getting tortured and didn't say the information. That's not a trick. And I'm like, that's not what happened, actually.
And if we remember the correct order of events.
Yes.
Giller spoke to Rachel through Sarah just before he exploded the tower.
Yes.
So he knew he was going to die.
Correct.
And he was just thinking of her the entire time he was being tortured.
So wait.
So he was dragging it out.
Right, no, exactly.
To give Rachel enough time to escape.
They were kind of making it sound like, which I get, if you haven't read this very recently, you'd probably just be like, he was tortured. But, like, he didn't, they were like, well, he just did a magic when he couldn't withstand the torture anymore. I'm like, that's not true.
No.
That's not true. He was very intentional about what he did. So anyway.
No, he could have just life fired immediately. He was doing things
Right.
intentionally.
But is that a trick? So then
I would say it's a trick.
I said that I thought it was, but then OP kind of like went back on it when he replied to me, and he was like saying he felt like it might not be a trick because Giller didn't create the lie. It was Darken Rahl in his own head was convinced something was going to happen. And Giller didn't say anything out loud. But do you see what the problem is here?
No. That's not how that works.
I wouldn't think so.
Preying on the thing that you know that they're thinking is part of the wizard's
I
first
think
rule.
so, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, because honestly, I'm into this interpretation. I like the idea that in his very last moment, he was a wizard of the First Order.
Yes, that
Right.
and that act elevated him
Nobody's
in his martyrdom.
Let's see. I'm trying to see. Does anybody agree that that is the case?
He achieved enlightenment through his last act, like the Hanged Man says. It's the same thing. It's the symbol.
I don't know. Honestly, they're getting so into the weeds here of like the gift versus the calling versus the amount of magic left in the universe, and I'm like, oh no. So maybe there's like things here we're not considering.
Unless it's past Confessor. I didn't read anything beyond that, so... Going
Well,
just off
anyway.
of this first book,
Well,
I
based
would
on-
say...
Anyway, I thought it was an interesting question. I do think a trick and a lie are really hard to distinguish between. But, like, I really was like, this feels like a trick to me. That's what I'll say. He's a wizard of the First Order in my heart.
Absolutely. Giller's our king.
So, Kahlan says that she...
Stud.
Oh,
My feelings about Giller.
yeah.
He's a stud.
Kahlan says she never thought Giller would be capable of such a selfless act. Richard asks how Giller could have managed to take the pain and still have a smile. It's like one of the stupid Richardisms, but like this was one of the, like, I was okay with this one. I kind of liked it. And then Zed says, like, wizards like really know pain. They go through so much pain that he could do that, which I was like, that's intense.
That's intense. And you're going to ask Richard to do it. And it's coming.
What's coming? I'm gonna come.
The pain.
What's coming? Oh, the pain.
That's the wrong one. Anyway. Yeah, the pain's coming.
Right. I don't know. Is that going to be related to his wizard pain?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, it is? Cool.
I think him going through that and coming out the other side with, like, a clear mind is going to be, like...
Well, I love a universe where you just have to go to dominatrixes and then you come out the other
God,
side
let
a wizard.
me be reborn in the Midlands.
Yeah,
like,
you're
let
like,
me go.
They're like, you want to be a wizard? You got to go to the femdoms first. Okay.
Here's
if
me
I must.
sprinting to Dahara. Like, get out of my way.
If I must.
I must be a wizard. That's why I'm doing this.
So
I'm gonna come.
So Zed, in a touching moment, he cups Giller's face. He says, "You have done well, my student. Honor in the end," which is nice. It's very nice.
It's very nice.
I like Tender Zed.
Tender Zed's one of the best.
Yeah, I like Tender Zed, and I like Zed who's not lying, and I like Zed who's not being a pompous douchebag, which all of those things he was not doing in this chapter. We love that. So Richard's like, we should probably get the fuck out of here, because, you know, like, this kind of feels like maybe it could be bait. We're like...
It does feel like bait.
Yeah, and it also feels very, like we're in the mix here,
Yeah.
and we shouldn't be. So Zed's like, yeah, the box is not here, and he doesn't think Darken Rahl has it, but they also, like, don't know where the fuck it is. So they go back to Queen Milena. Kahlan says, "Thank you for your hospitality. We will be leaving now." And she says, "What of Giller?" Does, like, Queen Milena not... No, she does. She obviously knows he's dead. I don't know. Whatever. What of Giller? Like, what do you mean? Like, why not be like, "I'm so sorry you had to see him in that state," or like...
Why haven't you taken him down? Because you're not allowed? Because
Weird.
Darken Rahl's mad about it? He
Weirdo
wants to-
behavior.
Yeah. What of
So-
Giller? He's a rotting corpse hanging upside down.
He's a running corpse in your castle. I don't know.
What of Giller? Don't use that room, I guess.
Do something
Yeah,
about
please.
that. So Kahlan says, "I regret you have beaten me to him. I only wish I had the pleasure of doing it myself, or at least witnessed it being done. The results are all that matter. Disagreement, was it?" She says, "He had something that belonged to me." "I see. Well, I hope you got it back. Good day." I liked that. I thought
Yep.
that was a really good use of, like, utilizing that everybody kind of publicly seems to know that Giller left Kahlan.
Yes.
And, like, obviously you'd assume she's pissed about it. So, like, it's like, yeah, you might as well use that.
Absolutely.
To, like, keep the cover story going.
Yeah.
For what's happening. I just thought that was clever. I thought it was actually genuinely pretty clever.
Good move.
Love that.
Yeah.
So then they leave. Well, first before they leave, Kahlan says she's going to be back to check on the prisoners and make sure no innocent people are locked up again. They leave.
Yep.
Richard feels depressed. They don't know where the box is, and he doesn't know what to do. Sidon tells them that he has been brave, but he is happy Richard with the temper will bring him home. That's cute. You are also like, Sidon through this entire scene is not really a real child or anything, because he seems... I feel like we're meant to just be like, he's fine! I don't know, you could go hang out with Brophy, and...
Oh, Brophy's gonna love him!
Yeah, he's gonna love it. So... What are we even gonna do with Sidon?
Yeah, wait, Sidon, the Brophy riding warrior?
Whoa.
That's the kind of fantasy book I want. Sidon grows up and rides Brophy into combat.
How long do you think Brophy's gonna live for?
I don't know how long do regular wolves live? 10 years?
Not that long. Richard asks Zed what they should do next, and Zed says, how should I know? You're the seeker. Which, like,
Dick.
thanks a lot.
We're back in the woods, so
well,
fuck
what's
you.
Individualism? It's like, yeah, you guys can brainstorm, you know. Like, the three of you can use your skills and put them together to come to better conclusions. But instead, it's like, that's not my job. That's your job. Fuck you.
I know. You're the seeker.
I'm not saying, like, Richard should contribute. But, like, Zed literally is like, hey, Terry decided you're the smart one now, not me. You figure it out.
I dumb again.
They're outside, it's kind of late, the sun is setting, and they see down the way 4 horses galloping at them, but only one has a rider. What does that mean?
It's Chase Branstone.
Yeah,
Hey!
I looked too.
Oh, I didn't look.
Oh, I'm pretty sure it's Chase, yeah.
Hell yeah.
I don't know what that means, but...
We riding, boys. That's what it means.
We riding.
We riding. What, are you kidding me? That's what it means. We're riding.
What information? I guess probably Chase has information from Michael, right?
Yes, yeah.
And so they're going to use that for a clue on what to do. I thought you said that the Mordsith capture Richard at the castle.
I'm pretty sure they do, so...
But they're going to go back in?
I don't know. I don't think he gets off the grounds for some reason.
Where do they get... He's off the grounds. They're out of the castle. Where do they get him?
In like a field outside of the castle, I feel like.
Well, it's weird because...
Maybe
like,
he gets the circle drawn around him and then...
Yeah, right. Oh, yeah, that's got to be it.
Yeah.
But how and where and why?
Maybe he gets teleported back.
Well, maybe he got one on... He, like, painted a little something on his back.
I think he just needs to draw it.
Oh, what? What do you mean?
I think he draws your likeness and then draws something happening to you, and then it happens.
Like a voodoo?
Yeah.
Like a voodoo artist?
Yeah, like a voodoo artist.
Oh, I was thinking he had to, like, literally either, like, paint something on you or, like, around your being.
That would be the shittiest power. Hold on.
Well, it seems way...
Kids, you want face paint? Haha, got him.
I think it's way OP, because, like, then why is that, like, stay away from him? I mean, the second he sees Richard, he could do it, right? What does he even... He doesn't need to see him again.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
And where's the threshold between, like, good enough and not good enough?
You'd have to ask James. I don't know. He's got opinions on this.
I really can't figure out how we're getting to where we're getting, because Zed warned him about magical beings in Queen Melena's cohort.
Yep.
Which we have yet to see a Mordsith in the mix with her.
At all. So, there's no Mordsith yet.
So it's gotta be James that's gonna get us to the Mordsith for some reason.
Yeah, they're gonna lock him up somehow, and then they're just gonna go pick him up. I think there's a fight, and then Richard tries to use the sword on one of the Mordsith, which is bad, because then she steals his magic. That's what happens. Okay. You can't use magic on them.
And they're after him because Darkenwall wants them to be after him?
I think Darkenwall is trying to catch Caitlyn, but then just takes the Seeker, too, because he's like, alright. Okay,
well, that'll be really interesting to see how we get there. Overall, I really didn't rant that much, you guys. Like, a little bit, but not much for me. Wouldn't you say?
I'd say.
So it's a good sign.
Good chapter.
Good chapter. Fun chapter.
Keep it coming.
Please, more of that. I'm tired of them camping and I'm tired of monologuing. I want action. I want multiple people chattering about
Power
I
dynamics,
want
keep it
rituals,
rolling.
I want objects, I want buildings.
I want tarot cards. I want that kind
Yeah,
of shit.
I want
Yeah.
magic.
Magic. Wizard's Life Fire. Smoothies. Makes them sweet.
Smoothies. What?
Wizard Life Fire smoothie.
Oh.
Uh,
Yeah, I'm glad we got this done in one fell swoop here.
what, this chapter?
Yeah.
It was long.
Yeah.
We nailed it.
So I guess that's it, guys.
See you soon for chapter 40. And we're getting close. I don't think there's many left, right? Like, how many chapters are we talking about?
Not much.
Because what did we say?
I think we said
10 more chapters?
49. Yes.
Yeah, so there's 10 more.
We're going to do some more mini-sodes at some point, and then we are 100% doing, like, we want to do, like, a live recap when we're done, where we, like, just chit-chat live, and then we also are, and then we're going to do Legend of the Secret, which I'm so excited.
So hype. It's going to be so good.
Yeah, those are the plans. So, anyway, we're going to go now. It's not dinner time, actually.
No.
We're going to go hang out. Maybe we'll go to the gym.
Maybe.
We'll see.
Maybe.
Okay.
Love you guys.
All right. Love you guys.
Bye.
Bye.